Hi, I'm Sunny and I've been retired here in Thailand for the last 20 years. This is just a channel where I share my thoughts and what I've learned in that time. The other afternoon I got talking to a retired expat while we were sitting outside a little cafe. We'd spoken a few times before and from the outside his life looked pretty good. Nice condo, plenty of free time, sunshine every day, the sort of lifestyle that gets shown in YouTube thumbnails all the time. Then almost out of nowhere he said, "If I'm honest, I think I was happier before I moved here." That wasn't what I expected to hear. It also wasn't the first time I'd heard something like it. For every retiree who says Thailand was the best decision they ever made, there's another who quietly admits they wish they'd thought things through a little more. You don't hear those stories as often because they're not as exciting as beachfront apartments and 50-baht meals. But they're real, and if you spend enough time talking to people who have actually lived here, certain regrets come up again and again. One of the biggest regrets is expecting Thailand to solve problems that had nothing to do with Thailand in the first place. It's easy to understand why it happens. After years of working, maybe going through a divorce, dealing with stress, or simply feeling stuck in the same routine, Thailand starts to look like the answer. Better weather, lower living costs, a completely different lifestyle. It feels like a fresh start. And for a while, it really does feel that way. Everything is new, every street is worth exploring, every meal feels like an adventure. There's an excitement that comes with waking up in a different country where even the ordinary things feel interesting. Then life slowly becomes life again. The excitement fades into routine. The beach becomes somewhere you walk past instead of somewhere you stop to admire. The markets become normal. Even the sunsets stop feeling extraordinary because you've seen hundreds of them. If someone was unhappy before they moved, those feelings have a habit of catching up eventually. Changing countries doesn't automatically change what's going on inside your own head. Another regret I've heard countless times is underestimating how lonely retirement abroad can actually be. People imagine Thailand is one big social club where friendships just happen naturally. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't. Back home, most people don't realize how much of their life is built around familiarity. The same neighbors, the same coffee shop, the same golf course, the same friends you've known for years, even casual conversations with people you've bumped into for decades become part of everyday life. Move overseas and suddenly all of that disappears. Nobody knows your history. Nobody knows your sense of humor. Nobody remembers who you were before you arrived. Some people build a fantastic new social circle, but others never quite manage it. They spend more time in their apartment than they ever imagined they would. Days begin blending together. Breakfast becomes lunch, lunch becomes dinner, and before they know it, another week has disappeared. One retiree admitted to me that some days the longest conversation he had was ordering a coffee. That really stayed with me. Loneliness isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's just a slow feeling that quietly grows over months without you really noticing it. Money is another one. Now, Thailand can absolutely offer a lower cost of living than many Western countries. That's one of the reasons people move here in the first place. But one mistake I've seen people make is assuming that because things are cheaper, money will never become a problem. Life has a funny way of proving people wrong. The exchange rate changes. Your rent goes up. The air conditioner runs all day because it's simply too hot without it. You need dental work. You fly home unexpectedly because someone in the family is ill. Your visa costs more than you expected. None of those things seem particularly serious on their own. The problem is they rarely arrive one at a time. I've met retirees who spend half their mornings checking exchange rates because even a small change affects what lands in their bank account each month. That's not exactly the relaxed retirement they imagined. The happiest people I've met here aren't always the wealthiest. They're usually the ones who plan for life to be unpredictable instead of assuming every month would look exactly the same. Healthcare is another regret that catches people by surprise. It's one of those subjects nobody really enjoys thinking about. When planning a move to Thailand, it's much more fun to look at beach apartments than health insurance policies. Unfortunately, our bodies don't really care what we'd rather think about. Thailand has excellent hospitals, particularly in the larger cities, but excellent healthcare isn't free. One unexpected illness can completely change someone's financial situation if they haven't planned properly. I've spoken to people who arrived convinced they'd never really need insurance because they'd hardly been ill in their entire lives. Then one operation, one accident, or one diagnosis completely changed the conversation. Nobody plans to get sick. That's exactly why planning matters. Then there's one regret that doesn't get talked about enough because it's difficult to admit. Missing home. Not everyone does. But some people miss it far more than they ever expected. Not necessarily because home is better. Because home is familiar. You know where everything is. You understand how everything works. You don't have to think about every little detail. Even something as simple as walking into a supermarket and recognizing every product can become strangely comforting after years abroad. And then there are family milestones. Grandchildren growing up. Parents becoming older. Video calls help, but they never quite replace actually being there. I've known retirees who insisted they loved every minute in Thailand while quietly booking longer and longer trips back home every year. Eventually, they stopped coming back. They realized what they really missed wasn't the country they'd left. It was the people. Probably the biggest regret of all, though, is rushing into the decision without ever experiencing what normal life here actually feels like. A 2-week holiday tells you almost nothing about retirement. On holiday, you eat out every night. You stay in good accommodation. You spend money differently because you're on vacation. Real life is completely different. You start dealing with paperwork. You have to renew visas. You need to find reliable services. You have good weeks and bad weeks just like you would anywhere else. Some retirees fell in love with Thailand while wearing holiday glasses and only discovered the reality after they'd sold everything back home. For some, it worked out brilliantly. For others, there was no easy way back. That's why the retirees who seem happiest often have one thing in common. They didn't expect perfection. They understood that every country comes with compromises. Thailand has wonderful weather, incredible food, friendly people, and a lifestyle that many people absolutely love. It also has bureaucracy, cultural differences, traffic, frustrations, and moments that test your patience. Both things can be true at the same time. Maybe that's what these conversations have taught me more than anything else. Retiring in Thailand isn't automatically the best decision you'll ever make. It isn't automatically the worst either. It depends on why you're coming, what you're expecting, and whether you're prepared for the reality instead of the fantasy. Because no matter how beautiful the beach is, there will still be mornings when life feels ordinary. No matter how affordable the food is, there will still be unexpected expenses. No matter how warm the weather is, there will still be days when you miss the people you left behind. Some retirees discover they've found exactly what they were looking for. Others quietly realize they already had it before they boarded the plane. And that's probably the hardest regret of all. Because by the time you realize it, you've already built a life thousands of miles away from the one you left behind.